I'll never forget the first time that I flew in an airplane. I was a little kid, elementary school age, and my grandparents were in Florida for the winter. And they invited my family to come down during our winter vacation week to visit them. So there I went with my stuffed animal and my family onto the plane. And I was excited, but I was also nervous. And I know that whenever there's a group of people gathered, there's always some nervous flyers in the group. So if you're a nervous flyer, you might appreciate this story. So, sat down, buckled myself in, and it was a dark March day. Drizzly, freezing cold, thick clouds. November's a time we can really relate to that, I think. And as the plane went down the runway, I had that feeling in my stomach, kind of a roller coaster feeling. And off we took, and there went the ground, smaller and smaller beneath us. And as I watched that with fascination and a little bit of fear, all suddenly everything went white. Everything was white because we were in the clouds. And we kept going up and up and up until that moment when we broke through the clouds. And now, bright sunshine is shining all over the place. And the clouds are like a field of cotton beneath us. If you are afraid to fly, I hope that you challenge yourself to do it someday. Because it is one of the most spiritual experiences we could have. To learn that you can go above the clouds. That no matter how thick the clouds are, no matter how dark they are, there is sun always shining up above. This is a time we need to believe that more than ever, don't we? If you watch the news, things are a mess. And they always are, right? But this feels like they especially are. If you wanted to, you could spend all day worrying about ISIS. Just that alone. You could spend all day. And then if you think about what's going on with Russia and all the stuff that goes on between Russia and its neighbor countries, very scary. The political mess that our country's in, broken system. The fact that almost 3 million people in the world live on less than $2 a day. 3 billion, that is, with a B. So when we start thinking about these things, the darkness can overwhelm us. And there's a danger there, because it's kind of like having a basement where water can seep in. All of that darkness can seep into us like water in a basement. If our heart has cracks in it, all that fear can get in the cracks, and it can do damage to us. And that's what we hear about in the gospel. Jesus says, during difficult times, the times that are coming are terrifying. And he says, there's people that are going to die of fright. Isn't that interesting? Die of fright. Doesn't seem like a doctor would say that could happen. But, there's probably a lot of us that if we were honest, we have let fear take a little bit of our life. We have died of fright. The darkness has seeped into our basement. The fear has gotten into the cracks of our heart, and we don't live the way that we could. We don't fly because we've got fear. So this is where Advent comes in, and Jeremiah starts with that first reading. He says, no, all of the darkness you're talking about, yeah, that's true, but better times are coming. God is still in charge. Do not be afraid. That is the message, the enduring message. It's the realization that the sun is always shining over the clouds, and it's not one bit threatened by the clouds. Sunlight does not get diminished even the smallest bit by the clouds that are in the way of it reaching here. The sun is just as powerful no matter how many clouds there are. It's not affected by the clouds at all. It's us that have to learn how we can rise above those clouds, even if we're not in a plane. Because God wants us to know that that darkness was meant to be overcome. And Advent can do that. In fact, Advent can change our lives. And I speak from experience because it changed mine. 10 years ago, I was a high school teacher in Boston. I taught religion at a Catholic high school in Cambridge. And I went home for Thanksgiving break, and before I went back to Boston on Sunday afternoon, I went to Mass. And one of my heroes, Father Jim, was preaching. And that year he said, as we begin Advent, this very Sunday that we're in right now, he said, why don't you try doing the 3 C's? The 3 C's. The 3 C's, he said: coffee, candle, and Christ. Here's how it works. You set your alarm 5 minutes earlier. Not a whole bunch of time, just 5 minutes. And you make your favorite morning beverage, coffee, tea, cocoa, whatever it is. And then you light a candle in a dark corner of your house, and you sit in a chair, and you look at the light of the candle while you sip your coffee. And that's it. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to do anything. His advice was, let the light of that candle shining in the darkness work on you. Just let it work on you. Let it speak to you. See what happens. He said, just do it for the days of Advent, 5 minutes. And then when the 5 minutes is up, you get up and you go on with your day. So I tried it. And the first day I thought, nothing really happened. I was like, am I doing this right? Is this what it is? I don't understand. But I kept going. And by the end of the first week, I really liked it. In fact, it was the thing that stopped me from hitting snooze. Because I thought, oh, if I hit snooze, I'm not going to get this. I need to do this. So I got out of bed every day during Advent. And then Christmas came. So it's over, right? But I didn't want it to end. So I kept going, 5 minutes a day. And over time, 5 minutes became 10 minutes. And then 15. And now for probably 9 of those 10 years, I've done 30 minutes every morning. And I never miss. I did it this morning. The 3 C's, they are life-changing. And there are many times that I don't want that period of time to end. I just don't want it to end. I think, oh, maybe I can go in just a little later. It feels like magic. And that is because this is how we rise above the clouds. The psalm today, to you, O Lord, I lift up my soul. How do we do that? How do you lift up your soul to God? Well, it's by ascending through the clouds. And how do you do it? Something like the 3 C's. St. Paul says that we need to, you heard today, I love that line, we need to strengthen our hearts. And he's not talking about some cardio workout. We've got to seal up the cracks. There are cracks in our hearts, and there is fear getting in, and we see it. Maybe we hide it from others, but we know. We know. So we need to stop that darkness from seeping into our basement. We've got to seal up the cracks of our heart. So the 3 C's are a way to do that. I have a friend who's a sister of mercy in Albany, Sister Eleanor, and she says that prayer, real prayer, is just sitting there and letting God look at you and love you. Just sitting there, and you let God just look at you without moving around like we normally do, and just love you. And that's what this is. So, what a challenge for all of us to figure out how to let Advent be a time that our soul can take off like an airplane. Rise above the clouds and see that there is an eternal sunshine that is always there, that God is always in charge, that we don't have to let the clouds be dispelled in order to rise above them, because Advent has the power to change our lives if we let it.